the man who is not troubled by these, O chief of man Arjuna, who remains the same in the pain and pleasure, who is wise, makes himself fit for eternal life. It is only a related thing in one person has more pleasure or more pain. If we are happy, then we think that there is more pleasure in this world, and if we are sad, then we think there is more pain in this world. Both pleasures and pain are similar things. The Supreme Lord has put this in a field where he says we meet range of people. Those who are in high status in society with plenty of possessions to the common man. And you also meet all types of people, and they all come and sit and tell you their stories. After listening to all the stories, you think that whether you have reached a conclusion that a sad person in this world is really sad or not, or are they happy? Because sad people only have little sadness, whereas happy people have lots of sadness. Ironically, because he says that pleasure and pain are the same, but we need to look at them relatively. The metaphysical view is that the scale of pleasure and pain is always the same. Whoever has two pains in their life will also have two pleasures in their life. And be careful, because whoever has 100 pleasures in their life will also have 100 pains in their life. So it is related it's on a scale, it is related. As many pleasures you have, as many same number of pains you will have. So when you ask Lord, oh Lord, give me pleasure, at the same time there will be pain associated with it. There is a very good example given here. We may not be able to see it, but we may not be able to see the pains and pleasure, but they have keeping in it in our minds. The scale always remains the same. For example, we see a homeless man sleeping on a bench outside a shop, who spends the day away from the shop when the shop is open, but when the shop closes, the man goes and sleeps on the bench just outside the shop. We may look at him from across the street and have pity on him and think, he must be so unhappy. He does not have a house, he has no bed, he has no blanket, he has no pillow, he sleeps on the street. But as soon as the man goes to sleep on the bench, he has a nice deep sleep. The owner of the shop comes at 8 a.m. and tells him to wake up. So he opens the shop. Only then does he wake up. That man has no bed to sleep, but you will never see sleeplessness in his eyes. On the other hand, you see a person with a nice big house, a well-furnished bedroom, a nice car outside, with all the luxuries he has, but unlike the homeless man on the street, he would have sleepiness in his eyes. What is more necessary in life, a bed or a sleep? The first man does not have bed, but he does have sleep, whereas the second man has a bed, but does not have any sleep. The latter has to have a sleeping pill in order to fall asleep. But when happiness comes, then some sadness will also come with it. When sadness comes, then some happiness will also come with it. When you feel pain, then you have no worries. So like it simply says, it's not the worldly luxuries of the life, but the mental peace or the sleep, which is important, like the metaphor that we can take from this example, sleep and bed, which is what is more important. So it is the sleep, the peaceful sleep that we get in the night. The whole world can see a sad person's pain. The whole world can see his pain, and he is able to tell the whole world that he is sad. The world can even feel sorry for a person who is sad and give him sympathy because he is sad. But who can see a sadness in a happy person's life? Not only that, when a happy person goes and tells the world that he is sad, then the whole world laughs at him, saying, you have so much and yet yet you are still sad. No one is even prepared to listen to his story or feel sorry for him. No one can sympathize with him. No one can go and tell his story. He has got everything, and he wanted what he wanted, and he is still sad. A happy person has greater sadness than a sad person. And here the happy person is termed in relating to person who has all the wealthy pressures and materials in his life. We can further say that the sad person always has a wish that I am sad today, but tomorrow I will be happy. I have no money today, but tomorrow I will get more money. I will work harder and earn more money. The happy person has no such wish because he has got everything that he needs, and yet he is still unhappy. Therefore, when a happy person gets sadness, he feels suffocated. Therefore, there are people that these people really need our pity. When one has all the possessions in the world but still gets depressed, then this is very understandable according to modern psychologists, because no one is able to understand their sadness. Therefore, only one person, God, is saying here that pleasure and pain are the same, and that the patient person does not ask for pleasure or pain from the God, because the majority of us who go to God ask for pleasure. Remember that when these pleasures come, then pain will also come with it. All pains, all the pains that we have in our lives have only come as a result of pleasures. Because none of us wish to open the doors to sadness. When sadness comes knocking, we ask, who is it? It replies, it is sadness. Will you open the door when it is sadness on your door? You will immediately say no. But if happiness comes to your door, you will gladly welcome it. But when it comes, then sadness also comes with it. When happiness comes in, when you gladly open the door, when happiness is there, the sadness will also come with it. Pain is the shadow of pleasure, and you cannot say to any person, come in, but please leave your shadow outside. So they both will come when you welcome either of the person in your house. When you let the person in, then his shadow will also come in. When good things come into your life, other things may or may not come. But a sense of insecurity will always come. When you get millions of pounds, then a fear of losing it also will come with it. When you achieve high status in society, then a fear of losing the status will also come. Other things may or may not come, but this pain always comes. The fear of losing something. This pain comes with every pleasure. When a son is born, then the fear comes, will he stay alive? Will he grow up? Will he be wealthy? Will he study well and then serve me? Will he get spoiled? Will he leave me? Whenever pleasure comes, then the fear of losing will always come along. When any pleasure comes, then you are always thinking, will I lose this? Will I lose that? The person who always gets pleasures think like this and eventually come to a state of mind, will I last? This is the biggest pain. Deer, word deer. Deer is a person who is being defined, someone who has learned to endure pain and pleasure. So he knows that pleasure are like sunshine, they come and go. Pain are like shade, and they also come and go. But sunshine and shade come during the day and go away at the night. In the same way, both pleasure and pain keep coming and going. These do not make a difference to a deep person, because he knows he is a soul. And this is the connection to Samkhya theory, again, that this point, because the pleasure and pains are felt by the body, and therefore it is an illusion. I am not the body, I am the soul. I do not come and go, but I stay. In my experience of residing in body, I have seen so many pleasures and pains come and go. When the sun rises, then we do not try to start dancing. And when the sun sets, we do not start crying. This is because we know that as soon as the sun rises, it is going to set. And when the sun sets, then we know it is going to rise again. In the same way, the person knows that when pleasure comes, they will go. And when pain comes, they will also go. Some people even have attachments to pain. A person may even start identifying himself with these pains by saying, this is my pain. This is how I feel. A great saint shows this to us when he went into a town and everyone came to him saying they were sad and that other person was happier than them. The saint called everyone in the town together and told them, look, I have great amount of knowledge.
Carry on. Everyone was in pleasure, but now they're going to be in pain. No, you carry on. You carry on. You sure?
Yeah.
It's a very, very proud moment that someone can do as well. So really, is that where are we up to?
We're on verse 15.
Okay, sure. Okay, this class that we've got today we've got a special class. So this is up to you. Is that this way? Okay.
I was giving an example of the saint in the...
the saint in the town. Okay, yeah, we started that. This is the same as that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, so this is a very unusual class because you've got a lot of classes where we're talking about the soul, very particular descriptions of the soul, but now we're moving forward because, yes, fair enough, I'm the soul, I'm not the body, I'm the intellect, but what about during this time when we have these relations with people, this 50, 100 years where we live, where we have relations, we have brothers, we have sisters, and so on, and that point was raised, that thing was in Arjun's mind, and you see all of these verses, one by one, they're very interlinked, because as soon as Sri Krishna says something, Arjun, it's a microphone, I don't need a microphone. As soon as Sri Krishna says something, the thought comes into Arjun's mind. So how can we face the death of a loved one? That pleasure and pain is a very, very important part. So this class in particular, you may have done so already, take a lot of notes because you'll find it's applied in my life in the last week, and you'll find that it applies in your life because we go through so many pleasures and pains, they're part of our life. Like in the last week, CMS released in the 15th of every month, released pay slips. A lot of people got their bonus, quarterly bonus, and that piece of paper has the ability to make you happy. It's just molecules, as Sonal explained earlier, matra, which means molecules, matter, has the ability to make you happy. It's just a pay slip, and it makes you happy. At the same time, someone can send you an email, which can be very, very harsh, and that email can make you sad. But think about it, it's just molecules, it just matters. Tell yourself every single time when something gives you a pleasure, something gives you a pain, that it's matter, it's just matter, it's a payslip, it's made out of paper. How can that have the ability to give me pleasure and pain? And if someone else on the outside has the ability to give you pleasure that can bring you up, they also have the ability to put you down. So remember that all times. So start taking detailed notes. This class in particular is very applicable. So this saint that we're talking about, this great saint went to a town and everyone came up to him saying that, oh, they're sad about this, someone else is happier than me, someone else is getting better deal than me, some person is wealthier than me, some person has this, whereas I don't have that. The saint called everybody in the town together and said, look, I've gathered a great amount of knowledge throughout all my years as a saint, and through my knowledge, I can make all of your sadness go away. So the saint said, if you see someone that's happier than you, then just start living your life as they do. So he says, forget about your pleasures and pains, and take somebody else's pleasures and pains. So the saint said, let us all do this. Everyone write down your pleasures, you don't have to do this, the saint told the people. Everyone write down the pleasures and pains on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it inside a cover, so nobody can see, so you can see everybody, can see your pleasures and pains. Told them to put it on the table, and he said, leave your pieces of paper on the table, your pleasures and pains written down. and they told them, now the chants are all complete. Now each of you go to the table one by one, and if you feel that somebody else's life is better than yours, and you want to live their life, as a do, then pick up that cover, then their pleasures and pains will become yours. Pick up whichever covers you want, somebody else's covers. Everybody, each and every one of them, went to that table one by one, stood there, thought about it, read everyone's names, and ended up taking their own papers and going back. So these people that were complaining about other person getting more pleasures than them getting more pains than everybody else, just ended up going back with their own pieces of paper. They thought that another person's pleasures and pains don't seem so bad from the outside. What if they actually happen to us? Instead of that, I'll be happy with my own pains. So they took those own pieces of papers back. So whoever understands this, Sri Krishna said, who understands and sees pleasures and pains in this way is fit for eternal light. It's because of dhir, patience, that the person gets internal strength. We talked about dhir last time. We defined a person who's dhir. Alright, who is here? Mira, how do you define someone as dhir? 3 things. Patient, you got your notes. Yeah. No referring. It's a closed book exam.
Oh, yeah. Patient. Yeah, so faith in the mind, faith in God.
Faith in the soul.
Faith in the soul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I had faith in the mind, I'll fall apart.
Faith in the soul, faith in God, and faith in something else.
Faith in the soul, faith in the God.
Surrender to God.
Huh?
Surrender to God.
Yes, surrender to God. So we say Narayanai Samarpayami at the end. Excellent. Surrender to God. Very, very important. We gave that story of Sri Krishna and Arjuna late in the Mahabharata, when Arjuna was worried about Abhimanyu. Sri Krishna did that thing to show him how a person can be dhir, a person can be patient. Another one, Di means to give. The Di means the intellect, like we say in the Gayatri Mantra, Diyo na, Vachoya. Di means to give, and Ra means, so Di means intellect, and Ra means give. So a person who offers their intellect to others, to help others, is patient. So the word dhir. So if there's a small flame and the wind blows onto it, then that little will get blown out and it won't be able to handle that wind. That wind is like pleasures and pains. But if that flame gets bigger and brighter, every time a wind blows, then it becomes a forest fire and who will be able to touch it? Now, however much the wind blows, this fire will not get blown out. It will just get bigger and bigger. That wind will actually serve the flame and the wind will help the flame by increasing it. In the same way, if there's an inexperienced human being who doesn't know about pleasures and pains, then they don't know how to endure a pleasure and pain. Then if a single pleasure or pain comes, remember pleasures are just as effective as pains as blowing us out of course, then that person will get moved. But once a person gets patience, dhirta, and learns to endure these pleasures and pains, he'll become like a forest fire. Those pieces of wind will just make him grow bigger and bigger where nothing can affect him. So therefore, if any of these transient pleasures and pains come, he won't be moved. Not only that, but he improves with each and every pleasure and pain that he gets. And he comes up with the strength to help other people by advising them how to endure this themselves. Okay? Understood? Now let's go on to verse 16.